Right, now it's guest interview time, and we're extremely pleased to have at the other end of the phone here Gary Langan, who was the co-founder, I should say, of ZTT record label and founding member of the early 80s avant-garde. Everybody knew the Art of Noise, and it's really great to talk to Gary Langan. How are you?
Hi, very good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you. Now, this is a good time for you, but I know lots of people are going to want to know how it all started for you. What got you into the ZTT label, and where did Trevor Horn fit into it all?
And myself and JJ were three people that worked behind the scenes with Trevor. Trevor was then offered to get a label together by Chris Blackwell, who owned Island Records.
Yeah.
Trevor was desperate for a first band to start this whole thing off. I had stolen some drums from the Yes album that we were making at the time, 90125, that spawned Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Sure.
Being the engineer on the album, I was the curator of the tapes. I kept this tape back. And when everybody went one Thursday evening, after 11 months of trying to finish this record, I said to JJ, look, I've got a great idea. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. What did he say?
He said, no, I want to go. I said, no, you've got to stay. Because JJ was the guy that worked this brilliant bit of computer technology that was revolutionary at the time, the Fairlight 3. And had it not been for that bit of computer technology and the fact that I had also made an album with Malcolm McLaren, who sadly passed away this year,
Yeah.
which is a great loss to, I think, the industry and people who don't want to accept change, because I think Malcolm was one of those people that really forced the word change upon people.
Would that have been around the time sort of Duck Rock?
Yeah,
Okay.
So we were making the Duck Rock album, and it was during that album that I realized that actually, look, if you're dedicated and passionate about what you want to do, you can actually do everything. So it was kind of those sort of bits of chemistry, and I had this idea of stealing these drums and putting them into this machine and looping them together, which is old hat now. Mm. It's what every kid can do. But back in 1983, 84, it was breaking technology. Mm. So we looped these drums. JJ and I stuck around for the whole evening and really spawned beatbox.
Yeah.
And that was the start of it. Was sort of driving Trevor to a studio a couple of weeks later, and he had a long face on him, and said, "What's your problem?" He said, "Well, I've got Chris Blackwell wants me to start this label. You need to be involved. What are we going to do?" And I said, "Well, I've got a bit of a confession." And plucked out the cassette, because there were no CDs or anything like that in those days, and put it in the player in the car and played Trevor the demo. He went basically ballistic, gave it to Chris Blackwell. Chris Blackwell took it out to New York that weekend.
Yeah.
Played it out in a couple of clubs, came back and said, well, you've got to sign these guys.
Yeah. And that's how Art of Noise was born.
So that was how Art of Noise was born. The name came about from Paul Morley,
yeah,
who was the other collaborator with ZTT.
Yeah.
And he discovered that there was an Italian at the turn of the 20th century who had this band called the Art of Noises.
Right.
And said, well, why don't we use this name? And we said, well, we don't like noises. Mm-hmm. We're going to drop the S.
Yeah.
And that was it, really.
Yeah. And, of course, you had this ability of getting artists from all over the place, all sorts of genres, to join you. I mean, when you think about Dwayne Eddy, now, here is a guy who sort of 60, 61 is as big as it can be with things like Because They're Young, Rebel Rouser, songs like that. And then suddenly you get him on with Peter Gunn and you get a number 8 hit out of it.
Yeah, it's difficult to kind of describe how those collaborations really came together, but I can only think that people like Dwayne, people like Tom Jones and Kiss, they kind of see that we're doing something very, very different.
Sure.
And if you want to really connect with what's going on, then this would be a good chemistry.
Yeah.
You know, we sent demos to Dwayne, we sent demos to Tom, and it came to fruition.
Yeah, I think it was Tom's son who was the driving force behind it, because I saw a film about a week ago, I don't know if you saw it, which was very much about Tom Jones's life and his career. I'm not saying it was on the floor because that would be a bit of an insult, but he certainly was logged in this Las Vegas, keep your shirt open, plenty of bling, and he was just stereotyped on there and needed a desperate change of direction. I think his son gave him a hard word. He actually listened to him, and if I remember right, he went on the Jonathan Ross show doing The Last Resort.
That's right.
And that was really, and even Jonathan Ross, I think, introduced it saying, I've got no idea what this is going to be over the next 3 minutes. And it was blown away, and that really sort of launched it because it was a complete change of direction. So good on him, but good on you guys for actually, as I said, resurrecting's maybe not the right word, but certainly...
I'd say we did. I'm a big fan of Tom.
Yeah.
And I've seen him many, many, many times live. I think he's an absolute fantastic showman.
Yeah.
But if I kind of hang our hat on a peg, then I do think we were part of the whole resurrection of Tom's career. Mm. You know, but it's like one of those things. All the cogs, all the coins slotted into place. Yeah. It was right place, right time. Mm. It was the right thing for Tom to do. It was the right thing for us to do.
Mm, sure. Now, you've got involved with a number of other people as well, and Ann Dudley has as well, where you've worked with like the Pet Shop Boys and Paul McCartney and Robbie Williams on some work as well, which has been quite fruitful for you.
Yes, but it's about kind of going out there and, you know, I don't step into a mold.
No.
It's about going out and experimenting and trying things and pushing the boundaries. I've never been one to really be kind of typecasted.
No.
So kind of working with those artists, working with Anne, working with Robbie, working with the Pet Shop Boys. It's, you know, it's about going out there and trying other things, which are, you know, it's what I'd say to kind of youngsters getting going in this industry. If you want to kind of get involved in media, broadcasting, the arts, it's not about sitting there and just doing things. It's about getting out there and pushing the boundaries.
Sure, absolutely. You touched on it right at the beginning about plagiarism and being able to take things, because I don't suppose you've minded too much that it's been, you've had like Close the Edit, sampled, used in different ways, bits here, bits there, fragments, I guess, Prodigy's Firestarter, other things that have been used on there, but you can't really stop it, and perhaps in some ways it's a tribute.
I think it's a complete tribute. You know, plagiarism, as I said earlier on, has been going on for hundreds of years. Yeah. Bach, Handel, Mendelssohn,
sure.
Beethoven, they all pinched from each other.
Sure.
And then it's how you use that. You know, don't just steal something and keep it as it is. Okay, if you want to steal something or be plagiaristic, then take it and use it and turn it into something that's about you.
Yeah.
So when it goes on, I see it as an accolade.
Yeah. Fantastic. Now that brings us forward to Art of Noise Influence, which is what I've got in front of me here, which is a release date of the 2nd of August, so just about 3 weeks away. Hit singles, Moments and Treasures, that we're calling it there. Tell us a bit more about it, Gary, how you put it together and, what people can expect from it.
Well, it's a double-sided. Well, it's a double-sided. I say that's an old phrase.
yeah. Going back to vinyl there.
Sorry.
A and B side.
Bit of a slip back in time there.
A and B side, Gary.
An A and a B side, all right.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 CDs.
Yeah.
The first CD is really kind of all the hits that we had and all the collaborations that we had. The second CD is trawling through a vault which is out by Heathrow Airport, where most of the record companies store all the old tapes that were made back in the kind of 80s and 90s, because you don't use tape anymore. So it was a case of trawling through all the old tapes and finding what I call the workings out and the margins. It's a bit like kind of, when you sit there and do an exam, as everybody tells you, it's not actually about what you write on the actual paper. It's actually about what you do in the column to the side to show how you got there.
Sure.
So the second CD is really showing people, the things that we tried, the things that we experimented with, the avenues that we sort of wandered down for a little bit.
Great. And the music historians tell us that the Art of Noise are the 3rd most sampled band in history after Kraftwerk and James Brown. Not quite sure where they got all that from, but it's a real tribute to you guys.
I think that's really true, but I have to say Kraftwerk, for me, were a real inspiration.
Yes. Lots of people say that.
Yeah, they were.
And as for the Godfather of Soul, there's another man.
Well, what can I say?
Well,
I wish I could dance like him.
Yeah, wouldn't we just? I mean, I can just see the man with that cloak there. And if you ask Prince, where did he learn his tricks from?
Well, exactly.
That's where it came from.
And, if kind of anybody wants a brass section, then go back and, if you could.
Yeah, get hold of that.
Talk to your man there, because it was fantastic stuff.
It is, and it's a great art there to be able to get somebody who can play a real brass thing. I once talked to Mick Jones from Foreigner and said to him the sax break on Urgent was one of the best I'd ever heard. And I said, was it true that Junior Walker and the All Stars did it? And he told me the long story about finding him in the village in Greenwich and getting him to do it. And he did it in one take. And I thought, that's a star that can do that.
Well, I'm a great believer in first takes.
Yeah.
Either you run the kind of what I call the 100-meter dash, which is the first take, or you go ahead and you run the marathon.
Yeah.
The 400, the 800, I'm not interested in.
No, just get that dash in. Look, Gary Langan, it's great talking to you. I wish Art of Noise, the influence, every success out there.
Great.
And long may it continue. Thanks very much for coming on. Founder of ZTT record label and the Art of Noise, Gary Langan. We're going to go with Close to the Edit. So thanks very much for your time.
All right.
All the best. Cheers.
Okay, thanks. Bye now.